Hey everyone, welcome to the 2020 Make It Big conference. I'm your host, Beatrice Este with BigCommerce, and I'm here today with Meghan Stabler, Vice President of Global Product Marketing and Communications here at BigCommerce. Thank you so much, Meghan, for joining us. I'm really excited to dive into our conversation today. I'd love to have you kick things off by introducing yourself and telling us how you got started in e-commerce.
Well, thanks, Bea. It's a pleasure to be here. So I've been in e-commerce for 2 years, but I've been a user of e-commerce for a long time, probably since the first e-commerce transaction was ever made, to be honest with you. So I've done a lot of shopping online, so I'm very used to the habits of a shopper and essentially the needs of a shopper and what a merchant needs to do to grab the shopper attention.
We know a lot has changed this year with the pandemic, but I want to take things back for a second. Where was the e-commerce industry at the beginning of the year?
I think at the beginning of 2020, it was pretty much the same as usual. We knew that e-commerce was growing. Merchants around the world saw an increase in their orders. They saw the fact that more people were using a mobile device and different tablets to buy online. They saw all the trends happening from some of the big marketplaces like Amazon continuing to increase. So I think as we leaned into 2020, everybody just saw the opportunity for e-commerce as a continuance of the norm, or the normal that they were at least used to of buying online, including traditional things like the upcoming Cyber Fives. We saw regular holiday traffic and all the types of things that really went on for the past years. What we did see a change, though, when COVID or coronavirus started to come about, was a big change in consumer habits. At the beginning, we did see a downtick in many of the e-commerce transactions as people weren't quite sure what was happening, as they were beginning to shelter in place, lock at home, whatever it was, leave work. They needed to sort of try and find some kind of semblance to the normality that they'd had in the past. And their shopping habits began to change. At first, it was down. People were just buying the essentials. They were buying the toilet paper and the cleaning equipment and the Cloroxes and everything else that they needed. But then after about a 2-week period, we saw steep rises in some areas that people needed to have that semblance of normalcy back in their lives, even now that they were working from home and having to live, educate, and work in their home environment.
I'd actually love to expand on that a little bit more. What were the trends that we were seeing early on in the pandemic, let's say, back in March, and have those continued?
At the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, we certainly saw some trends happening. We saw some of the traditional areas of apparel declining. We saw other areas, for example, in health and beauty increasing, sporting goods beginning to increase. And I think that adjustment was happening as people had to accommodate for this new work, stay-at-home lifestyle. They weren't sure when it was going to end, and they wanted to bring some kind of normalcy back to their lives. They also realized that they probably needed some additional things, right? So on top of online shopping for groceries, the normal things that they needed to survive, they also wanted to thrive in this home environment too. So we started to see some trends where health and beauty, whether it was hair or makeup, or just the general stuff to make you feel good at home, the luxuries that you may want in your bubble bath, for example, those started to increase. We also saw people beginning to buy more sports equipment online, presumably because they wanted to go ahead and exercise and maintain, again, some level of fitness whilst they were at home. And then after a few weeks, we started to see apparel come back and rise, probably because we were moving from the sort of winter months into spring and then into the summer planning phases. We also saw rises in things like education, entertainment. Again, as people started to adopt to this next new normal of working and living and then eventually educating from home, we did see some steep rises in trends. And we see that continuing across the board, where people are now really beginning to adopt to a lifestyle of, I can shop at home, I can buy at home, I can expect either delivery of some goods to my home, or I can use certain features like curbside pickup or buy online pickup in store if stores are available to them. So people have now really started to adjust to this next normal, and it will probably continue going forward into 2021 and 2022 as it's become a de facto part of their lives.
So now let's bring us back to speed. We've been in the pandemic for several months. Where's the state of the e-commerce industry now, and where do you predict it will go as we continue to live in a world and hopefully eventually a world without COVID?
As we look forward to what happens next with e-commerce, we've got to think about the things from the lens of the shopper, the lens of the customer. So as a merchant, you now need to start thinking about everything around what I will coin and use being called hyper-personalization. Everything that your shopper does needs to be included in your marketing program. So whether it's from acquiring customers at the beginning into the top of your funnel to make sure that they come to your site. So how are you spending your money on advertising, paid social, digital, brand awareness to actually acquire the customer is just as important as it is to the tail end of that being around shipping. We need to accept and make sure that you convey what may be happening to your goods. Do you have a shortfall in inventory? Is your supply chain likely to be strong or is it likely to be weak? Are you able to provide the goods? Are you going to be creating this FOMO attitude to make sure that people are buying? How are you looking at the actual conversion? Are you looking at the checkout and making sure it's as seamless as possible? Why are things like that important? Because if I'm a shopper online today, I'm probably being interrupted by many, many things throughout the day. And any chance that I may skip your site through an interruption means lost order potential. So anything that you do today is going to resonate for tomorrow, but it has to resonate around hyper-personalization, making sure that me as the single most important shopper to your site is getting a truly unique and personalized shopping experience. As I mentioned, that may include making sure that your site is configured and available just for me. You're looking at things like PWAs, progressive web apps, to make sure that my desktop experience is just as good as my mobile experience. It may be looking at me from a loyalty or an awards member that I've signed in, I've logged back in, and you're recognizing me as a shopper. You're now using me inside of your e-commerce site to make sure that you're presenting me with goods that you know I am likely to buy based off of my previous shopping history. You're doing things inside of the checkout to make sure that, hey, for another 15%, or customers just like you, Meghan, also buy this, and trying to offer me something in that checkout. Or if I'm not a loyalty member, offering me the chance to join your loyalty brand club, whatever that may be. Then the other things you need to be thinking about are important things like abandoned cart. If I failed and I got interrupted on that checkout, make sure you're looking at targeted advertising to come back to me and targeted social to bring me back into your site. Maybe with an offer, hey, we saw that you left 3 things in your cart. For now, just take an extra 10% off if you come back within the next 2 hours and go ahead and buy from us. But set the expectations for me as well on the goods that you have. If, for example, you have some goods that may not be available in inventory for a while, let me know. Also give me the chance to say, you know what, I know it's not going to be available until the 31st of the month, and today is the 15th. I'm going to go ahead and pre-order. I'm going to pre-buy. And then maybe one of the things that you could do is delight me as a customer and say, ship it earlier than I was expecting. So if you set the date that it doesn't ship until the 31st, and then you send me an email on the 25th saying, good news, Meghan, your order has now shipped, and it arrives at my doorstep 2 days later, you're delighting me as a customer. Why is that important? It's important because I may become a brand ambassador for you. Anything that works well in the experience is going to allow me to tell somebody else how good it is. And equally, anything that works terribly in the experience is going to let me tell somebody else just how bad that site is. So I think everything that we need to start looking forward to in e-commerce is going to be around hyper-personalization, geared towards me and making sure that you're transparent as a merchant, communicating everything to me, but also treating me as if I'm the only customer that you have.
And you mentioned before, during this time, we've seen some categories soar and experience so much growth, whereas others have been hit particularly hard by the pandemic. What advice do you have for those businesses that are currently in survival mode?
I think if you've really been hit hard by the corona pandemic and you're in an industry or you're selling goods that may not be flowing off the shelves as quickly as you need to, it is a matter about creating that community. It's understanding who are your shoppers, who are your buyers, who is most likely to come to your site and why. I'm a strong proponent of also including UGC, user-generated content. If you can create stories, if you can make it empathetic, if you can create something that relates to me as a shopper, it's more likely that I'm going to come visit your site. So that blend of both what you're selling with content is critical in today's world, because more people, as we mentioned before, are shopping online, but they're also searching online. So branded search, making sure that you're in the keywords for people when they're looking online, is so key in today's world, as is making sure that if you're selling something that somebody uses, if you're selling something that somebody can create a video about how they're using it, or why it's important to them, or the value of this product, or maybe the memory of this product and what it brings to them from their childhood or from their relationship or for their family. Creating this unique content and adding it to your site is so key in trying to create this sense of community and hopefully grow your business. So don't just think about things in terms of, well, I have some SKUs, but they're not really selling very well. It really is a matter of, there is definitely somebody out there that wants to buy what you have. It is going to be an issue of finding them. So think about blending content and commerce together and also surrounding it with UGC, whether it's from a blog, whether it's from an uploaded video, something from those customers that when they're using it, they can tell other users about it. So create that sort of social system, that social economic system that is helping to also influence other people to come to your site.
Something I think that we've all learned during this pandemic is how important it is to future-proof your business. Talk to me about what this means and how brands should really be looking ahead to make sure that they're prepared for whatever comes their way.
And one of the key things nowadays is to future-proof your commerce. And that isn't just the platform, but it's everything that you do on your commerce site. Let's start with the platform at first. Why do you need to future-proof it? You're a merchant. You shouldn't be in the IT business. And if you're reliant upon your internal IT organization or a bunch of developers to make sure that they're adding the right SKUs, they're promoting, they're putting up images and everything else, you're probably wasting market time. One thing that I've always said for a couple of decades is you've got to be able to zig, and then when your competition zigs with you, you start to zag. You want to lead. You want to make sure that you're first to market. The person that is first to market, first to brand, is really going to get that mind share as to what's happening in whatever category that you're in. If you're waiting on your IT organization to deliver something, you're waiting too long. So you want to look at platforms just like BigCommerce that allow you as an e-marketing person, as a marketeer, as an e-commerce person to be able to upload, manage, and basically create promotions on the fly when you see the need for these things without waiting on IT. Other things you want to make sure that you're aware of, especially as we're coming up to the traditional Cyber 5, is making sure that the platform that you're using is stable and available for increased traffic. Too often we see platforms crashing or unavailable because of issues that they're having. So at BigCommerce, we've been operating essentially on a Cyber 5 timeline ever since COVID hit. We've made sure that using a Google Cloud platform spanning across the world, we're able to provide a strong level of service in the 99.99% availability range. Next thing you want to make sure is security, right? We know that credit card fraud detection, everything is so key to your site. You want to make sure that people that are transacting on your site are not being fraudulent. And you also want to make sure that the platform that you have is fully PCI compliant when it comes to payments and payment gateways. So you're not going to get dinged on these things. All of these things are why BigCommerce and our open SaaS platform are so critical in today's modern e-commerce world, because we've designed a platform where you don't have to manage your environment. That gets managed for you by BigCommerce. We've designed an environment where if you want to add SKUs, put up promotions, put up new banners, trial something, do A/B testing, you can do it very easily, and you don't need to have any IT skills to go ahead and do it. And embedded throughout the open SaaS platform that we have is all of the PCI compliance and ISO 27001 security that you need as a merchant to rest assured at night that the platform is stable, it is secure, and you're able to go ahead and transact.
I think businesses are always looking to reduce their costs, but we've really seen more budget-conscious brands now than ever before. What advice do you have for folks who are looking to still drive traffic and grow their marketing and sales while being able to cut costs?
If you're a budget-conscious merchant today and you're looking to make sure that you can maximize your profit and ability to find those shoppers online, as well as making sure that you're cost prohibitive, make sure you're looking at a platform that embeds all of the marketing tools that you need, from SEO inclusivity to make sure that not only are you packaging the way that you are promoting your SKU and your product, but you're also enabling an environment where SEO is embedded as part of the platform. You're not having to buy additional tools. Now, I know that it's true that if you want to do things like email marketing, etc., and do some retargeting, you're probably going to have to integrate some other technologies into a platform. And that's really cool with the BigCommerce platform because we're built on an open API infrastructure. What does that mean? It means that you can literally click and connect different things. For example, you don't want to be limited to your payment providers. Again, your customers, the merchant, the shoppers that are using your platform may actually be looking at different payment methods. You want to be able to seamlessly integrate those payment methods into your platform. Equally, from an SEO capability, you want to make sure that you're capturing those customers using all the available keywords and using the insights from the data within the platform to make sure that you're attracting the customer in the first place. So any platform that you look at, BigCommerce or others, just make sure that they have the embedded marketing tools that you need to future-proof your business and also do it without additional cost. If you can get to that space and you can use platforms just like BigCommerce, then you know that you have those embedded marketing tools at your fingertips to go ahead and expand your business.
And of course, we know that brick and mortar retailers have been hit particularly hard due to all the restrictions that have been put in place. Where do you think the future of offline retail will go from here?
So what's happening about offline retail, those traditional brick and mortar stores that we have today? It's now a necessity for anybody that is a brick type of business, a retailer that only has a brick facility, a brick store, to get online. Why is that important? Well, it was important before COVID. It was important to think about things like omnichannel. Omnichannel is that blend of both brick and click. It's also looking at new channels that you need to take advantage of, whether it's inclusive of Facebook shops or Instagram checkout, or making sure you are also able to sell through other marketplaces like Amazon or eBay, etc. It's key that you have a multi-channel strategy. So if you are a brick retailer today, it is just as easy to get online and rapidly get online. We've had merchants that have spun up their stores literally in weeks to survive COVID. And they've moved from that model of surviving COVID into the model of now thriving in this COVID world. So the combination of bricks and clicks is tremendous, not just for you as a business, but also for me as a shopper. It gives me the opportunity to decide, what do I want to do? What am I comfortable with? Am I comfortable enough just to buy online and have it shipped to me with maybe 2-day shipping or notification it's going to be here in a week or next day delivery? Do I want to choose things like curbside pickup or buy online pickup in store? Maybe it is important that you get me back into your store to go ahead and shop in the store itself, but I may not be comfortable with that. So don't lose out on the ability to sell to me through any channel. And obviously, if you're doing buy online pickup in store, make sure you're surrounding other things with that too. Hey, if you're going to come into the store because you just bought something, maybe at that checkout, when I'm just about to pick up the item, you want to offer me a coupon for another 15%. So don't think of me just turning up to the store to pick up something as that is the end of the transaction. Also offer me something else in the offline world, including these things like basic coupons for another 10 or 15%. Why is that important? Because you want to create that brand loyalty out of me, and you want to make sure that I keep coming back. Whether or not I use it online or I come back into the physical store, it's just as important. But make sure you have a blended commerce environment, both online and off.
I really love the point you made about how the customer journey really doesn't end when the customer enters the physical retail store. And this really is another reason why e-commerce is so important. What are a few features and functionalities that you think retailers should really be implementing to make sure they're optimizing their customer experience?
There are several things that as merchants you want to make sure you're integrating into both your online and offline experience. Again, everything needs to be centered around me, the shopper, the one person that matters most to your business right now that is trying to either shop online or is visiting your store. And that is around loyalty and subscriptions. If you can integrate through maybe a POS system and making sure that you know that it is still Meghan Stabler that is buying when I'm physically in the store, as well as it's me that is buying online through any of the multi-channels that you have available to you, from Facebook Shops to Instagram to even your own BigCommerce website. You want to make sure that it is still me that is buying. You want to give me that treatment of love to make sure that I know that I'm being treated fairly and I'm being treated as a loyal customer of yours. You're using it to also make sure that you send me promotions, just in the same way that you go to a grocery store and at the end of checkout, they give you all of those little coupons to go ahead and use. Make sure you're thinking about me, whether I'm online or offline. If I'm coming into the store as part of a buy online, pick up in store, you're giving me a coupon that I could use online as well, with a coupon code that is unique to me. When I do go online, recognize me as a shopper. Tell me about my past shopping experiences. If you want to look at companies that do this really, really well, think of Apple and the way that they communicate with their customers. I can go to one location and see all of my purchases, whether I actually walked into the Apple store or I just went online to buy my new Apple Watch or my MacBook Air. All of that is consolidated. They will also send me information about my orders. So the other thing you want to make sure that you integrate into both an online and offline presence is making sure that you're communicating through email transparency. Maybe you've collected enough data on me as a shopper to know what my habits are, or my dress size, or my shoe size, or the type of makeup, or hair, or brand, or whatever it is that I like to buy. Make sure you're communicating to me with relevant information. Relevant information is stuff that I may be interested in based off of my past purchase history or any of those demographics or firmographics that you have on me as a customer. Doing so makes me think that you really get to know me in a non-overly way of knowing everything that I do, but you're communicating with me through email and other medium, again, into the social world of looking at Facebook and Instagram, etc., in a way that makes me want to shop. And if I do want to shop and I like what I'm buying from you, I'm becoming that ambassador for your merchant store and your brand. I'm recommending you to other people. You're sending me just-in-time notifications, maybe even based off of seasonality, right? We're coming out of a very hot summer here in Texas. We're getting into the fall of Texas. Well, that's the time that we all want to still be outside grilling, but maybe we want to be sitting around the fire pit. So if you know that I've bought certain things for the fire pit or certain pieces of equipment over the past couple of months, why not start sending me more things, because you know that seasonality is going to be happening and I'm more than likely to go ahead and buy. So blending data on me is important to make sure that not only you create that loyalty of me as a brand, but you're also able to communicate to me to get me to come back to your store, either physically to check something out or online to go ahead and purchase.
And last but not least, what are a few key takeaways you want our audience to walk away with?
So some of the key takeaways I want you to consider are this. It's about personalization. The next normal is here. There is no new normal. This is the next normal. This is how you're going to thrive and not just survive in a COVID world or even a post-COVID world. Hyper-personalization is here. And ready or not, you need to take advantage of that. You need to make sure that you're using the tools at your fingertips that are provided with the BigCommerce platform, where you don't have to involve IT to make any changes, create promotions, and do the things. You want to make sure from a personalization approach, you're looking at me, the shopper, from everything that I do, from acquiring me into the top of your funnel, all the way through conversion, and if I abandon the cart, making sure that I come back to check out through targeted ads, etc. You're making sure that you're notifying me about shipping. Maybe you can even personalize notes in the shipped package itself, but you're telling me all about shipping. You're notifying me that it's arrived. And you also are thinking about returns. It's often the least thought of thing when it comes to e-commerce. Anything can break your brand. So it doesn't matter that you had a great experience online shopping and you were notifying me all along the way that it was being shipped to me. If the product that I get at the end of the day doesn't serve the function that I was buying it for, and I have a terrible experience in returning it to you, the merchant, then I'm likely not to buy from you again. And I'm also likely to go ahead and tell somebody else that my experience was bad. So always look at the long tail end. Make sure you're also thinking about it from a mobile approach. Most people are going to be shopping online using their mobile devices and tablets. So make sure that you have a very reactive, conforming mobile experience for your e-commerce site. Finally, make sure that you're overly communicating with me, the shopper. I can't emphasize it enough that in today's world, where people are shopping from home, working from home, educating from home, and unsure what the future is going to hold, they want to hear from you. And they also want to hear from others that are using your product. So make sure you think about content and commerce as a blend, especially with user-generated content. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be branded. You can do it yourself as the merchant and just how-to videos or things that you recommend using your product with. Or you can start going after influencers, but most importantly, go after me, the regular shopper. If you can do that, and you can blend all of the content with the commerce, you're probably increasing your site traffic, you're increasing your brand awareness. So ultimately, what you're going to be able to do is make sure that you thrive versus just survive in this COVID world or post-pandemic world that is going to be the next normal of e-commerce.
That is awesome advice. Thank you so much, Meghan, for joining me and being part of the 2020 Make It Big conference.
Me too. Thanks very much, B. I appreciate it.
That was such a great session with Meghan Stabler, Vice President of Global Product Marketing and Communications here at BigCommerce. Be sure to engage with us on social media using the hashtag MakeItBigConf and share what you've learned. If you're looking for more insights, be sure to tune into more Make It Big conference sessions by heading over to www.bigcommerce.com/makeitbig.